Okay, in this tutorial, we're going to look at how we deal with some audio that has different attributes. We've already looked at a couple of different waveforms, the vertical navigators, and things like that. So we're going to look at something else. We're going to look at some controls for pan and volume and channel volume. But before we do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about our speakers, the speakers that we have. And we've talked about that in a previous tutorial where we have mono tracks, stereo tracks, 5.1 surround tracks, and multi-tracks, which is 1 through 32 tracks. So the speaker output of each one of these has three characteristics. The speakers have frequency, amplitude, and phase. We deal with each one of those. Frequency refers to how fast the surface of the speaker moves as sound is being pushed through that speaker, right? How fast that surface of the speaker, whether it's a tweeter or a woofer, it doesn't matter, how fast that moves. That's the frequency. Well, that makes sense. And the second one is amplitude. This is the register of how far the speaker moves. The bigger the movement, the louder the sound will become as it's produced a higher air pressure wave, which carries more energy to your ears. So frequency is, again, how fast it moves. Amplitude is how far that speaker moves. The further it moves out, the louder sound. The louder the sound, of course, the more energy it's going to produce, the larger air wave it's going to produce, and that's going to move that speaker more. Just think of it like a slight breeze and a strong wind. And the last thing is phase. When you have multiple speakers, these tweeters and woofers must be in sync. In sync, in speaker terms, is called phase, P-H-A-S-E, phase. And they have to be in sync. So phase is the precise timing with which the surface of the speaker moves in and out. So if two speakers push out air and pull in air in sync, those two speakers are then considered to be in phase. If they move out of sync, they become out of phase, and this can produce problems with sound reproduction. One speaker can reduce the air pressure at exactly the moment the other speaker is attempting to increase it or push more air through with a bigger sound. The result is that you may not hear parts of the sound. So speakers that are out of phase can actually eliminate sounds just simply by being out of sync or out of phase. So make sure that your speakers are in phase and that you have sometimes you have to take them into the shop to have them do this if you don't know how to do it, and have them put them in phase, looking at or paying special attention to the frequency and the amplitude. All right, so that's a lot of physics and operation of speakers, and now we want to move to something else. So we've looked at these two clips down here before called Excuse Me, and you know that as I adjust the rubber band for this first one here, I'm adjusting both of these tracks. But here I'm adjusting, one at a time. So if I adjust the top one or I adjust the bottom one, they are both adjusted individually. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go up here to this effects panel, and I want to click this little double arrow here, right here. And what I want to look at is my effects control. All right, so let's scroll out of here and let's click this first one, Excuse Me. And you'll see over here we have, yours may look like this. It may be completely collapsed. Right, this is where we have our motion and opacity and timing mapping. And we've dealt with emotion when we were dealing with keyframes. So anytime you see one of these arrows, again, I think I've said this in a previous tutorial, that means you've got something to hide there. There's a parameter. If there's a parameter, it can be adjusted. So let's click on each one of these disclosure triangles for volume, and one for channel volume, and one for pattern. So the volume level here we can increase, and if I can either click on this and put something in like a -3, right? There's that. Or I can left click on it and drag left or right to increase that. And I'm going to Command Z to get that back to -3. Here's my channel volume, left and right. So here I can put in -6. And then on my right one, I can put in -12. Right? And my pattern. Here's your balance. Now, I don't normally put in something here or drag. Again, as I've said in previous tutorials, I'm very visual. When this dot is right in the middle, that means that your sound is coming out equally of your right and your left speaker. But we don't like to do that with everything. You make a choice as to what's most important in your video. So let's say you have video, and then you have some narration that goes with it, and you have a music track that goes with it. We don't want you to put all of those, the pan of all of those right in the middle, because everything is coming out the same, and it's not really a textured video. So what I like to do is offset something. So let's say I decide that I want my video track, what I filmed, to come out of both. So I'm going to leave that even. But then I want my narration to be a little offset to the left. And that means my narration would come more out of about 40% out of, in this case I move it to the left, 40% out of the right speaker, and about 60% out of the 40% out of the left speaker and 60% out of the right speaker. And then my music, let's say I want to do that again, and I'll move that a little to the right. So I'm increasing the volume for the music, or the proportional of the music to come out of the left speaker more than it does out of the right. Right? And at any time I can go back up here and I can just Command Z that, or just put in 0 and get it back to normal. You can also keyframe it so that you can move this dot all the way over here and create a key. All the way over here and create a keyframe, and then move your playhead to the end of this, and just by moving this again, you've created another keyframe right there. So as I play this, it goes from one speaker to the next. So that was what we talked about in an earlier tutorial about making a car sound zoom from the left speaker to the right. I'm going to put this back to 0. We're not going to deal with patterns, so I'm going to close that disclosure triangle up. So we've adjusted both of these. Let's see how these sound. We've adjusted our left and we've adjusted our right. And that's really very low. Now, if I adjust this, and we talked about this before, if I raise this, right, I'm not affecting this. Let's look, now look at this, we have volume, channel volume, and pattern. I'm going to change my level up here. It's at -2, and I'm just going to put it at 0. I'm going to put it at unity up there. Right? Play this back. And I can actually make this even louder by pulling it right or left. So if I put this back to 0, you can see the difference if I drag it to the left. And it's making a keyframe right there for me. Command Z that. And I can right click on any of these keyframes and I can delete them. Very simple. Like this. Or I can go here and turn this off, and again it tells me you're going to delete all your keyframes. Okay, I want to do that. And I put this at 0. So that's another way you can control more of the volume. Right? So if I put it at a positive 6,
excuse me, is this seat taken?
There's an increase in my volume. What it's doing is it's increasing. I'll put it at 12, make it nice and loud here.
Excuse me, is this seat taken?
And you can hear the differences there. All right, so that's that. Now let's watch over here. Something's going to happen. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to close this up. I have volume, channel volume, and panner. Now I'm going to click over here on this, clip. Watch what happens here. Something is going to go away. Oops, let's close these up and look. I have volume and panner, and I have audio effects 2, volume and panner. The reason I have these two, audio effects 1 and audio effects 2, is because I have 2 tracks, audio track 1, audio track 2. Here I have audio track 1. So since I have these 2 tracks that I can adjust, as you've learned before in an earlier tutorial, individually, I don't need the channel. All right, so here's my volume, and I can set this at whatever I want. -3 for this one, and open this up and set this one at -12, and you can see both of them were adjusted here. And as I play this,
excuse me, is this seat taken?
Because I'm adjusting each track individually rather than having to use the channel panel. Very simple. So in this tutorial, you learned a couple of things. Frequency for speakers, frequency, amplitude, and phase. Frequency is how fast the surface of the speaker moves. Amplitude is how far the speaker moves, right? The surface of the speaker moves. And phase, P-H-A-S-E, is getting those speakers, those multiple speakers, to move exactly the same way, same distance at the same time. Otherwise, you'll lose some of your audio. And then you learn the volume. The volume adjusts the combined volume of all the audio channels in a selected clip. And that's the volume over here. And that channel volume that we saw here in this clip, that channel volume allows you to adjust the audio level for individual channels in the selected clip. And the panner, of course, pans the audio in stereo from the left side speaker to the right side speaker, or have it come out of both equally, or you can adjust it to whatever percentage of each one of those speakers that you desire. All right, that's it for this wonderful tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something about audio.